Hi everyone, hope you are doing well. We are back today with our program. Within few minutes, my team will join me. This is Me Talk Show today. It's a Wednesday, and we're happy and glad to have you today. Today's topic, it is the LGBTQIA plus and police brutality. So we are going to discuss about how police handles the law, the human rights of the LGBTQ. So I'm very happy to have you today, and as my colleagues are getting connected, so please don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to comment. So welcome guys for joining me on this day. I'm done with the introduction. You can introduce yourselves, then we'll continue with
that. Good evening, viewers, wherever you're watching from. Thanks for tuning into our show. This is me talk show that always happen on Wednesday and Saturdays every week. So we are really glad to be actually to be with you again. It has been a long week since we ever had, because the last show we did it was on Saturday, but we are so grateful. Don't forget to subscribe to HTV platforms and also subscribe to our platform, the Zambian Coalition Forum for Uganda-Zambian Coalition Forum for Refugees. We also have, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, you can follow us on TikTok. So we are always there. So glad to be with you again. My name is Gaetano Aduekango. Thank you so much.
Good evening, our viewers. My name is Vincent Mugerwa. It's a great opportunity again to serve you through this program. This is me talking. We are here again to stretch more about today's topic, and I'm glad to share with you about what we have today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Today's topic, it's about police brutality against LGBTQ persons. So today we are going to talk about how it treats us when we get arrested because of our sexuality. Me personally, I'm one of the victims of today's topic. So my panelists are going to first discuss with us what they are thinking about the police brutality against us, and then I will come back with the story of mine. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our host Dennis. You might think that you are the only victim of this incident, but you're not the only one. We too also seated here, we also actually also victims of the circumstance of the incidents and of the today's topic. We've been victims of it. When you talk about actually the LGBT and police brutality, it has always been It has always been the worst moment ever that I've ever experienced in my life, I've ever had. Wherever I go, I can't always forget about it. When you look at the work of police, basically it's to keep law and order, but to a certain extent, it leaves its work that it's supposed to do, and they go beyond what they are not supposed to do. They go beyond the human, they violate each and everything. Today's topic, one of all, I would love maybe to spare out a point of talking about. Actually, there is excessive force and harassment. You find like for police, actually, there are human rights that guides the police, because everywhere there is no organization in this world that doesn't follow that doesn't have that human rights guide, that if at all you've gotten someone, this is how you're supposed to do what to handle that person. But when it comes to the LGBT community, it has been always the worst experience ever since we've been actually in this world. You find it is the LGBT that suffer more once it comes to excessive force and harassment. Like you find like police, the way they handle other people, it's different from the way they handle LGBT community. You find like if at all you are detained in a police station, and they get to know that maybe you are gay, you are lesbian, you are queer, you're bisexual, it is really, I don't know whether it is a curse, maybe it is like they hear it as a curse to them. So the treatment that you receive at the police is always totally different from what from others receive. So you find like there is that excessive force actually that police applies, and if they get to know that you are gay, it is almost the worst, because at least for the even the transgenders, because we find like the transgenders, their gender identity is identical, it is physically seen, because for them they will not hide. At least for the gay, maybe for the lesbian, even the lesbian, they are those they can actually, at least for them, they can hide the identity. But for trans, it is really worse. You find so the police has done more worse in handling LGBT community. You find so many people are being beaten. You find the excessive force that they use in handling LGBT community, it has always been the worst. So police has never been a friend, it has never been social to LGBT community, even if they hear. Because if you talk about if you talk about like in way back in our country where we flee from to come here in Zambia, you find like police can hear about, like, even if they get to know the organization of maybe the LGBT community, maybe they have organized the function, they have organized maybe a party, maybe something that maybe would really bring the LGBT back together. Because we go through a lot of things, we go through a lot of stigma, we always traumatized, we always depressed, we always have those anxiety, but you have nowhere to go to. So if there are organizations that have brought us in together so that we can have that moment of sharing, maybe talking to one another, because out of depression you can actually die. You can die because of depression, because you have no one to talk to, you have nowhere to go, because remember you are victims of family rejection. So if at all you have no even friends, not everyone is going to be your friend, not everyone is going to welcome you. Even in the community where you are, once they get to know that you are a gay person, or maybe a lesbian, you're a trans person, first of all you'll be discriminated from this community where you are. So all those things, like if at all you face all those challenges that the LGBT community faces, you find like it is always hard for police people. Actually, if at all they are called that maybe there is this and this person in our community who has violated this and this, who has violated something, or maybe has done something wrong in the community, you find like the police, instead of keeping the law and order in a proper way, you find they're using excessive forces. You'll be grabbed, you'll be harassed, because it is like you have that, it is like maybe being a gay, it's a sin. Yet it is an inner feeling that I have inside me, so I can't change my situation, I can't change anything. So you find, instead of police officer handling me the same way they're supposed to handle other people, you find you are brutally, you are beaten, you are harassed, I don't know, there is no way you can get help from police if at all you belong to the LGBT community. So the police has never helped LGBT community. You find it is the human rights defenders who come out and say, we are standing with you people, we are here to fight for your rights. But for the police, it has never. Never. If you are taken, if you are detained, just mean that if you don't have like organizations which can fight, or maybe human rights defenders who can fight for you, you just know that you'll rot in the police station. You'll be there without any help from anyone. So that excessive force that and harassment that police uses has really tortured us mentally. It has brought actually depression. It has brought actually a lot of trauma that we go through. We are stigmatized, so you find like it is really hard, a hard moment for us to cope up with because of the way the police handle us. Then secondly, you find like you might find like there's inadequate response to hate crimes. So you find like police, like I've told you, police is all about to keep law and order. But now you find like if at all they know that you belong to the LGBT, there is that inadequate response to hate crimes. You've done, actually someone has done to you, actually maybe someone has come and maybe has committed something to you. You find like even if they have stolen your properties from where you are staying or from where you are renting, and you call the police maybe to respond, once they get to know that you, the person that they have, like the person they have offended, like you belong to the LGBT community, definitely they will actually their response will be very low. So at the end of it all, you end up like you would want, maybe you end up having suicidal thoughts, because even where you run for, maybe to the police, because like you cannot fight people, but where you run for people, like the police is unable, because it is a big organ in the, actually it's a big organization in the country. Because first of all, like in the community, if at all like you've not been helped, so that means that even if like something bad happens to you and they know that you're a gay person, you're a lesbian, you are this and this, there's no way the police can help you. So in initial, actually, in other words, police has been so brutal to the LGBT community. They have not helped them. They use excessive forces. They use excessive harassment. They have less response to hate crimes against the LGBT community. There's nothing they get. Actually, the LGBT community has never been helped by the police department. Every time they get to know, actually, if I try to give you a scenario, actually, when I lost my phone here in Zambia, where I was seeking asylum from, we went to the police. But by that time, actually, I didn't want to show myself. I have to play a low profile, as maybe UNHCR tells us, like you have to keep a low profile. I went with one of my colleague, but he had pierced his ear, and he had put there earring in his ear. So when we reached the police there, one of them actually asked, "Are you a gay?" Then my friend has to play it cool, was like, "No, I'm not a gay." Like, why are you having earring in your ears? So my friend was like, "It's just for formality." So you can look at that. I see, you can look at that and get to know. If at all he had accepted that he was a gay, do you know what would have happened to him? They would have even put both of us. They would have detained us by that time, because the way actually the guy looked at us was like, "You man, it seems maybe you are gay." So you can see. So it is a hate. Actually, it is a hate. If at all they had known that we are what, we are gay, or we belong to the LGBTQI plus community, we wouldn't have gotten the help that we had gone for. Because you find like you reported a case, and if they get to know your sexual orientation, definitely no one would have helped us. But thank God that my friend responded very well and told them he's not a what? He's not a gay. Are you seeing that? That what helped us, and the police was able to help us in getting back my phone. But if they had identified and they have known that we are gay people, we wouldn't have gotten that help. So you can look at the inadequate response to hate crimes. So at the end of it all, like if you're not able to help me because of who I am, I feel depressed. I feel traumatized. I feel stigmatized. So where do you want me else to run to? There is nowhere I can run to. So at the end of it all, if I told the police is able to help each and every one, every human being has the right to do whatever they want. If their work is to keep law and order, let them help each and every one, irrespective of their sexual orientation, irrespective of their color, irrespective of their irrespective of their religion, irrespective of anything. Let them do their work as police officers to keep law and order, to work on each and every one very well. In other words, if at all the police is able to take us equally and treat us equally, all these issues of maybe LGBT and police brutality wouldn't have been there. But because of the hate, because of the force, actually, because of each and everything, the way they look at, the way they take us is not actually, it's not in a proper way. That's why you end up being victims of circumstances, of victims of brutality for the police officers. So with that, maybe allow me to stop here so that maybe my colleague can also share his views and points that he has with us. Thank you so much, Dennis. Back to you.
Good evening once more, our viewers. It is so sad to hear about the irresponsibility of police officers or police at large in issues concerning LGBTQ plus members in different communities of Africa and the world at large. When sometimes I also think about what we went through, it really gives me hard time. In Africa, many countries they have laws which are criminalizing same-sex relationships. So the fact that police take themselves, or it is what they are, to keep law and order, they make it a pretext of keeping the law that some of their governments, they don't allow same-sex relationships. So you find that when you are caught in their hands, they have that kind of intimidation. They want to intimidate, they want to use excessive power because they are making an excuse that they are keeping the law. They say you have been practicing homosexuality and it is not allowed in our country. I'll take an example of Uganda, because it is where I have much information about police so far. With much experience I went through when I was there, and the same experience that caused me to run away from my country. I remember the day we were caught at the police. These guys, they were kind of talking about our offense, and they could put a lot of other additional crimes which we had not committed, pretending or making it an excuse that it is in the same bracket when you're caught with LGBTQ. For example, that you have not done it according to the culture, that there are laws which are enforcing or support to keep the community culture norms, that is against that. They say it is itself against the constitution of the government, and then they start torturing you basing on those weak points. You find that when police holds an LGBTQ person and that person is reported to have been caught in a homosexuality act, they will use all the means to treat him even worse than they could treat a murderer. I've seen it. I remember the time we were caught at police. Guys treated us so badly, the so-called keeping law and order, and they do it in a way that is again against the human rights. I remember the the way police tried to check, and they said they wanted to prove themselves that whether we are LGBTQ, that whether it is true. There was no court order guaranteeing them to do that, and they made us get ashamed at the police post. We were in the police custody. They had to check that they want to check whether we have been practicing LGBTQ. But that is totally shaming, and it is against the human rights. They did it in their brutal way. We were ashamed, and then we were left there. So it is something that gave us hard time, and I'm sure it is not, we were not maybe the first people to face that, or we were not the last. It is something that keeps on going within the police. Another thing I can talk about is about intimidating. They have the way they scare you. They, in that scaring, then they bring people to make you confess even the sins or offenses that are not true. They make you confess by force. They make you admit that you have done this, you were this, and you're that. And you know, when we are called to police, in most cases, we don't admit that we are homosexuals, although we are. We just try to oppose it, because once you admit it, it is, again, the repercussion is always not good. So in a way of keeping a low profile, we usually oppose and don't admit that we belong to LGBTQ community. This is because sometimes you may not have support. Even some organizations which were to support, for example, in Uganda, most of the organizations that support LGBTQ plus community, they were shut down. So you have to reject all the offenses they have charged against you, because most of them, they are just formulated from there. Another thing I can talk about what police does, and most of these things I'm talking, they really happened to me and my colleague. They beat and in a way that is shaming. Instead of maybe following the so-called the law and let you face the law, they add on beating. I remember one of the policemen asked me some questions which were so stupid, showing that he's not professional in his work. He was like, how do you do it? Can you show me or describe to me, how do you feel when you're doing such a thing? How do you start it? Then I just looked at him, I kept quiet. He asked me the second time, I kept quiet. And the guy just slapped me seriously. I just saw the stars after his slap. So I felt offended. I had no one I could say. Even the OC, who was his boss, who was their boss at the station, was also around, and he saw it. He did not condemn his officer. So I just felt alone. I felt feared. I actually feared a lot, and felt lack of protection, which is their responsibility. They are supposed to protect me, but again, they were now harassing me. instead of protecting me or giving me any comfort as they had gotten us from the homophobic community also. So I totally oppose the acts or the brutality that police opposes against homosexual members in different communities of Africa, and it has really shown wickedness of police. They have failed to protect people and their rights, hiding themselves into the so-called keeping the law and order, yet it is undermining the human rights, the standard human rights of the communities across the world. So this is what I can briefly say. Let me pass more to Gaetano and he adds on something.
Thank you so much, my panel, actually, Vincent, for the points you've shared with us. Right now, actually, I want to also add about the abuses that actually the LGBT community always goes through while they have been maybe detained by the police, police officers, police as the law enforcement organization. You find like even they are like increased vulnerability to violence. You find like if at all like organized faith, maybe like we always have some house parties around for the gay community, maybe for lesbian, for LGBT, and each and everything. We find like it is always hard for us maybe to have it in an open place. Like of recent, actually last year, we had Pride in this country where we are seeking asylum from. But when you look at the place where the party was organized, you find like it was in a secret place. Reason being that even the country where we are is against the homosexuals. So if they get to know that you have something that you've organized, just get to know this, the police will come and raid whatever that you have organized. So thank God that day, that time, I think maybe depending on the location where it was and maybe the place where it was in a separate place that it's only the LGBTQ community that were allowed to know where it is. But if at all it was in an open place, even the community members would have reported to the police that we are having this and this group of people around here. What else to do? The police would have come and would be detained by now, because it is against. In this country, we know however much they call themselves a Christian country, but still they have also what? They also have people who are like us. They have people who belong to the LGBTQI community. So it is always hard it is always hard to hide away from what you feel, where you belong. You always have to find a community where you belong. That is the only thing I got to know. But the thing is, if at all it was there, that party would have been raided by the police. It would have caused a lot of violence there. So you find like police always have issues of what? They are always increased vulnerability to violence, more so to those special groups of people, the LGBT community, even others. But right now I cannot talk on behalf of others. I'm talking about the community where I belong. So that is the reason that's why we have issues with the police. So even there's lack of trust in the law enforcement. If at all I'm able to report my case, and maybe you say that maybe you hear maybe from anyone, maybe you hear about the propaganda that maybe I'm a gay person, and you've not yet confirmed it that maybe I'm that and that kind of person, and you go by people's words, it has really brought, it has really left us hanging. It has left us with no trust in the police officers. So it means that even if I have challenges, even if if anything else happened to me, I will not, if I'm to go to the police, I will not get help because already they know my sexual identity. Like for the transgender, it is hard for them to hide their identity. Are you seeing that? For them, their identity is physically seen. It is physically seen. So it is very hard for them to get help from the police officers. So you find like they will lose trust to the police officers. We have nothing we can do. We have nothing. We cannot even report our cases. Maybe even if it is something else that has happened to us, or we have been beaten by other people, they cannot listen to us because they know that we belong to the special group. So at the end of it all, find like someone is having mental illnesses and trauma, mental issues. Are you seeing that? Because now you look at the discrimination you're having from the community, the discrimination, the rejection, the family, actually the rejection you got from your, like you were disowned by your family. Then at the end of it all, even you cannot get help from anywhere. So at the end of it all, you have issues with your mentally. You'll have issues. You'll be in trauma. You'll be depressed. So at the end of it all, you find like we go through a lot. We go through a lot. I don't know, the police has never helped us once they get to know your identity or sexual orientation. Believe me or not, you cannot get help from the police officers. So allow me to stop here. Maybe you can look at maybe the solutions, what can be done in order maybe to stop all these issues. So allow me maybe to allow us to first go for a short commercial break, then we shall come back with the solutions of which we can, like solutions of how we can solve all these issues with the police brutality against the LGBT community. Thank you so much. It seems maybe our producer is busy right now. Maybe my colleague also has another point that he wants to share with you people. Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks so much for the time you've given us. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platform. We have the Uganda-Zambia Coalition for Forum for Refugees. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on TikTok, and also don't forget to follow HTV. You can go. You can follow all our programs on HTV, whereby don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share with all your friends, your colleagues, where they are. Let them subscribe to HTV. Let them share. Let them follow them on Facebook. Let them follow them on YouTube. You can subscribe TikTok. You can also follow us, so that like our program can spread. It can maybe reach each and everyone, because we are here to talk about the issues that we go through, what we went through. So don't forget to follow. And
okay, thank you again. Maybe to give more points or to expose more about what the police is doing to abuse the rights of homosexual members in different communities that show a great brutality. There have been cases where you find that police support families which reject LGBTQ members. It is very common here in Africa, especially Uganda. You find that a family rejects a son or a daughter for being a homosexual, and such a child cannot go to police and report there. Even if such a person goes there, police rather supports the family. They say that what the family has decided, it is. So it is against the law for really. And then there are other incidences where police has made people to stand them on different parades before very many people, and confess their homosexuality. That is also something very bad and ashaming, that shows brutality of police against LGBTQ. And then also it is the same police that is surveilling online apps, dating apps, or other applications that support information of LGBTQ plus community. So it is so bad. That is what I can say. I don't know if Dennis is online, whether he's copying us and he can say something maybe. Dennis, are you copying?
It seems that maybe Dennis has a problem.
Bakabona lebe yabana kubaka usibo kwa shanguda lebe shangu bimwere tukusikabona bona ide tuisha babuti mwire tubapendeke. I love you daddy, I love you mommy, I love my parents, I love you all.
The commercial break. We really appreciate your time that you've given us. Right now, actually, we've shared with you whatever that hurts us. Whenever, like, actually, whatever that police does to us, we've already shared with you people. But the worst moment is always like when you are forced to do something. Like, you know, police officers always they always abuse our rights. More so when you are forced to do an examination. It is against the human rights. So you cannot force me to do something unwillingly, unless maybe I'm unconscious. Even if I'm unconscious, you have to first get consent from me in order to do something. So, you know, the LGBT community always faces that. One of the challenges that we always face is forced an examination by police officers. That one, it's a thing that really hurts us so much. It really hurts us so much. So right now, we are not going to go into other things, but we want to talk about the possible solution that can be done in order to stop police brutality against the LGBTQ community. So first of all, one of the points I want to share with you is to implement policies and procedures that respect the LGBT rights. You know, once these police officers, they're also human beings like us. If I know that whatever that they're doing is not in a proper way, implement some policies and procedures which the police can do. Even if me share with it in the organization, share it online on all platforms for police organization, as police organization, share with it with us, so that we get to know that if I've committed this crime, these are the consequences that I will suffer from. But if at all we've not implemented those policies, or if at all the police officers have not been put, like, if at all you find this and this kind of person, there should be those strong policies that stops police brutality against the LGBTQI plus rights. Because also, it is not a crime to be a gay person. It's not a crime to be a lesbian. So if at all you take us all as human beings, so respect my rights as also I respect your rights. Because I've never seen an LGBT person beating a police officer. I've never seen them fighting any police officer. But you find it is the police officers who fight them. But if there are laws that are implemented against those police officers that protects our rights, we'll be able to we'll be able to enjoy each and everything. We'll be happy, because at least we know that even if something happens to us, we have something. We have maybe in the constitution we have something that defends us. But if everything that is against the law, like if at all I talk about my country, Uganda, where I am, or where I flee from, you find like the law is against us. So even if you are caught by the police officers, they will still torture you. You have nowhere to report to, because it was actually, the law was signed by our president. The parliament of Uganda passed the law, and the president consented to it. So you have nothing. Even if you speak, you have no rights to speak. So that is one of the solutions, that at least they should implement policies and procedures that respect the LGBTQI plus community rights. So then, secondly, I would talk about actually it's holding officers accountable for abuses and discrimination. You know, these officers, if at all we punish them, we punish them because of what they are doing. If you hold them and make them accountable for each and everything, like if at all you forced me to do anal examination without even a court order, without even any rights that maybe any law that you're following, is against my rights. So if at all those officers you identify them that this and this person has done this and this, and they are published to public to get to know what they have done, it would have been better. It would help us a lot. You find that the LGBT community would exist very well. They would have that freedom of life, freedom of expression, freedom to do each and everything. But because of the because of maybe the laws that were put against us. Because like even in the country where we are right now, once they get to know that you are a gay person, you are a lesbian, you're a trans person, definitely I'm telling you, you'll be harassed totally. You'll be harassed, you'll be forced, they violate all the rights of all our rights, and you'll be brutally beaten. Anything can happen to you. So in other words, I call upon all officers, I call upon all heads of officers. I know that we have the police chief that heads all the police officers in maybe in all countries where we go to. We call upon all of you. If at all there's something that happens, it is always good if at all we report officers who harass us, who really abuse our rights. It's better to hold them accountable for whatever that they have done, because if at all you hold that person accountable, it will be a lesson to another person. That means that that person will not do it to another person, because if I face it, and that person is published and the world gets to know that this is a person who has forced me to do an examination, it will be known and it will be a lesson to the rest of the people. That means that it will reduce all the brutality that LGBTQI plus go through. Allow me to stop here so that my colleague can also share the points they have.
Okay, thank you once more. To me, the way I see that police can stop their brutality against LGBTQ plus community members is the government to enforce or carry out the act of training police to more standards such that they can be informed and they get to understand more how to respect human rights. I think that will be very great and it will lead to police improving in their acts. Secondly, according to the era that we are in currently in this world, there is now one punishment called news. Through social media and all platforms, I encourage that people should keep on airing out, exposing all the weaknesses of police officials, things they do in the darkness, thinking that cameras have not caught them. They should come up and be reported on social media, on TVs, on radios, stations, so that the public knows their brutality. With that, I know they can get ashamed and they change into their way. Another one, maybe it's a call to the government to enact anti-discrimination laws against LGBT. Thank you for following us. Thank you for loving our show. We see you next time.
Thank you so much. Please, we want to send our sister thanks to Mr. Mato, who is the head of the HTV. Thank you so much for our regard to do something work with that. I want to thank you all of the don't forget to subscribe to HTV on YouTube. Don't forget to follow HTV on Facebook, follow HTV on TikTok, social media platform. I will remain as Uganda